Hello, everybody.
Hey, hey, hey.
All right, so welcome to the Mikestand, everybody. Today is um today is Wednesday. Hump Day this week. Oh, I see what happened. I had another window open. I had two windows open with didn't realize it. I still had the one open.
Uh,
I
you
was
get,
I was wondering where the second thing was coming from. Well, now I know. But anyways, let's try this again. Welcome to the Mike Stand, everybody. It's Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. It's of course Hump Day of the final of the last full week of July rather. Um, so tonight we'll be going over more niche news and stuff like that. Of course, before I do, as always, if you haven't already, you guys can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer. And we will try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. With all that being said, before I do talk about what's on tap for tonight, let me introduce my friend and co-host for the my friend and co-host for the evening, Rick Piper. And Rick, would you like to go ahead and do your intro?
uh, uh, as said, I am Rick Piper. I have my own comic company, and I do stuff here on YouTube. And here's a link to one of them. It's a fifth part in a five-part series of a painting. It's something I did a while back. So I figured it's got some low view count. Why not share it out? Maybe some people will go and watch it and get it up there, the view count.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah, go check out my channel if you like what you see. Like, subscribe, like, and all that, the videos and all that. So, I guess that's all I'm gonna say for now, and until we get into the articles, and hopefully I'll have something to say on that
Mm-hmm.
article about what's being said or not said or whatever.
There's a little filtering here. All right. So with all that being said, then okay. So now with all that being said, let's see. We're at about coming up on 3.5 minutes here. So we're gonna go in comics. It's in so I guess former Marvel executive in chief Jim Shooter has I guess some choice words, as it were, for
Some people.
yeah for the Western comics industry. Um,
I wonder whether these are good words or bad words,
my
or
guess is
maybe a
based
mix
on
of
what
both.
I was reading from the article there, I think it's not too complimentary or anything. But anyways, also of course we'll have the wrestling wrap up. Stuff going on as of course WWE is preparing for its tour of Japan. Its tour in Japan starting tomorrow through Saturday, as well as AEW's Dynamite tonight. Is of course WWE continues to prepare for SummerSlam a week from Saturday. Um, you went out for a moment there, Rick. Your video blacked out for a moment. Okay, I can't even hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, what happened?
I guess my mic changed or something or other. I'm not sure. But what I was trying to say is I froze, so I went and took out my camera and then put it back in, for a second, just let it reboot, So hopefully, people would be able to see me.
Yeah, I was noticing here too when I was looking up at the left hand corner of the and there it is again, the signal. It always seems to happen in the summertime here. The signal goes a little wonky.
Yeah, people do things in the summer at night. So
Anyways,
it is what it is, but
well, as long as
hopefully
it
we
doesn't,
can get through the.
from what you're seeing, it doesn't seem like I'm freezing or anything, right?
No, not to me, anyways.
All right, doesn't look like it either. Okay. All right. So, anyways, back to what we were talking about. So, we're talking about Jim Shooter having some things today. We're talking about the wrestling wrap up as WWE, of course, is preparing for SummerSlam in about a week from this Saturday. AEW, of course, is making its way towards its All In show from Wembley Stadium at the end of August, August 25th. We'll also be going over the results of last night's NWA Power program. Um, you know, and getting everybody caught up on that. Plus, we'll have this day in each history. And as always, guys, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, it'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So, with all that being said, go ahead and let's get started. In the year of the cat. Okay, so the article is former Marvel EIC, which is Executive in Chief, for those who may not know. Jim Shooter slams the current state of Western comics. Quote, it's supposed to be entertainment, but a lot of it comes out like propaganda, quote unquote. So
Ooh.
that answers your question, Rick.
Yeah, pretty much. Do we even need to read the article now?
Well, just to see what he has to say about it and see if there is anything to. We most likely will agree with a lot of what he said, but let's go ahead and dive into it, as it were. Article, of course, by Spencer McCauley, published yesterday. In the opinion of former Marvel Comics editor-in-chief Jim Shooter, not only is the Western comic book industry currently in a bad way, but one of the main reasons for its struggles is its continued focus on quote-unquote propaganda over entertainment, which of course is something that many many in the Comicsgate community, many in the indie comic scene have been saying for what, the last 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah,
We've been
so
saying it for a while.
Shooter, who during his 1976 and 1986 stint as Marvel's executive in chief oversaw the production of such runs as Frank Miller's Daredevil, Walt Simonson's Thor, and Roger Stearns' Amazing Spider-Man, and introduced readers to the concept of a company-wide crossover with Marvel Superhero Contest of Champions and Secret Wars. Offered his take on current state of the industry um, while speaking with the titular host of the Tony the Toy Rat YouTube channel, Tony Mendez, during last month's 2024 Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. So there they are right there. Timestamp 6:47. Directly asked by Mendez, quote, how do you feel about the state of the comic book industry today? The comic book veteran bluntly replied in turn, quote, I think they forgot what business they're in, unquote. Really? I think that's a sentiment that's shared by quite a few people. What would you say, Rick?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely something I can agree with. Although I hate to say it, I haven't. I won't say I haven't not read a lot of comics recently. So I think a lot of people.
Aside from the older ones we've been reading on Fridays, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's not for because it's only for one. Well, I'm not sure whether it be for more than one reason, but for me, it's been more one reason is I don't have the funds to buy comics at the moment, and where I used to get them on a regular basis, I can't seem to get them anymore. So, it is what it is. That's all right. Just trying to get my
All
camera.
right. So, I'm sorry. Anything more to say, or
Uh, no, so no, I know what I was saying, trying to say with that. So without having, I hear a lot about what it's like. I haven't read it for myself to know, which is sort of a downside, I might say. You know,
mm-hmm.
now I'm not saying anybody's lying about what's going on. Of course, I've heard about various storylines, but you know, there's been lots of movies that I've heard that were supposed to be bad, and when I actually get to see them, they're not quite as bad as what they've been made out to be.
Hey. All right. So, quote: I think that I don't care if you agree with every word they say. Nobody wants to read propaganda. Unquote. He argued. Quote: It's just boring, and there's an awful lot of retconning going on. Like I said, I respect the intent of the creators, and Jack Kirby never intended for Thor to be a girl. And Joe Simon and Jack Kirby are spinning in their graves because they turned Captain America into like a Hydra guy or a Nazi or something, and in brackets revealed that he always was. That's just wrong. I mean, I don't I don't do that. Stay true to the character. Unquote.
Yeah, for sure.
Drawing from his own past experiences in support of his point, Shooter then recalled, quote, I used to show people old Lee and Kirby books from the 60s. I had a new writer, let's say on Captain America, and I'd go through the first appearance of Captain America. I think it was Avengers number 4. Well, no, if it's the first in the 60s, that might be, but that's not necessarily his first ever appearance because Captain America
Yeah.
dates back to the 40s. I can tell you that much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he comes back, and very clearly, there's one panel where they're fighting Submariner for some reason. Captain America doesn't remember Submariner from World War II. Quote, but Submariner takes him by surprise, and he has him by the belt, in the small of his back, and he's raising him up over his head to dash him to death on the rocks. Unquote. He continued. Quote. So here's Captain America upside down, being held by his belt, about to die, and his thought is, in small quote, he's stronger than I am, but I'll find a way to outmaneuver him. Um, that's my guy. I mean, just boundless courage. Never say die. He'll find a way. Unquote. I have tolerated enough indignities this day. Know my vengeance shall be swift and sure without mercy. That's, quote. So I'm trying to explain this to the guy, and then right away they start writing him like he's Captain Republican or something, and he's not. unquote. Further, detailed Shooter, quote, he represents the ideals of America, not any political stance. But I try to work with the guys, and some of them got it. Roger Stern got it. He nailed it. And
Yeah,
they met.
the problem is the political stances of both those parties is, one is more American than the other, shall we say?
Yeah.
You know, but
Well, again, the conservative cause is getting back to the original intentions of the founders,
yeah,
and
yeah. You don't want to go to
not trying to maneuver ways to make changes to the Constitution in ways that people aren't going to like. So
yeah,
that's that's a discussion for another.
yeah, yeah. Captain America might not say what he is, but he probably would be Republican. But it's not about that. The comic book. It's about doing right, fighting crime, and all that. So
Right.
let the people try and figure out what he will be. In their heads. Make it head canon, not real canon.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So, as a matter of fact, I think he's one of the best writers we had. We had some really good ones. We had J.M. DeMatteis. We had, in brackets, Chris Claremont, of course. Of course, Claremont, from what I understand, is a pretty hardcore liberal nowadays, too.
yeah, but you know what? I don't. Again, I don't care what the writer is, just as long as he's a good writer. Just because you go to
From what I understand, Claremont has been, Claremont, who was one of the main writers for the X-Men series for a time there, has been, I guess, signing off or agreeing with with what they did with X-Men 97. So
yeah,
we had Simonsons, both of them. Larry Hama. Now, Larry Hama, I mentioned to you the other day. That's the guy who's a GI Joe writer as well.
yeah.
David Michelin, really talented people, and so the ones who really care about it, they got it, and they did what they did with this sculpture, which is to make it true to the original creation, unquote. From there, Mendez pressed the comic creator as to what he thought was needed, quote, in comic book industry to pull us back to the golden age, the new golden age, unquote. To this end, Shooter asserted, quote, well, somebody who knows what he's doing has to be in charge. Where's the next Stan Lee? Unquote.
Not at Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Or DC for that matter.
Yeah. Quote, that's it, unquote, he affirmed. Quote, and it has nothing to do with the indies. A lot of them are really interesting. They have really interesting properties and good ideas, stuff like that. But most of them have no training whatsoever. And so they're hard to read, and they're not structured right, or it's just not as good as they could be. And the majors, or what used to be the majors, they're pretty small now. They do have some really good talent, but they don't have anybody steering the ship. Quote, so basically each guy, he does what he wants, unquote, Shooter posited. Quote, Bendis. Nobody tells him anything. He just turns stuff in and they process it through. Or Jeff Johns, or any of those guys. I used to have editors, unquote.
Jeff Johns is actually pretty good. least last time I knew.
Yeah. Quote, Larry Hama taught you stuff, unquote, his name. Quote, Larry Hama, if you needed help, he helped you. Well, unless you have Walt Simonson, he just didn't need any help last. Nowadays, I think they're more like
Expediators?
well, I not quite, unless of course they happen to misspell it here. Because it's expediters, so expeditors. Maybe it was meant to be expediators, and maybe they missed a letter or something like that. But just processing stuff, though. I don't see anybody teaching these days. Now, of course, here's I think an infamous panel that I know a lot of people, including Metal RJ, have referred to. This is the infamous panel where Jean Grey kind of just, I think, put the idea into Bobby Drake's head that he's all of a sudden gay.
Yeah.
So
you gotta love what he says there too. What's happening? It's like, what? What? Come on! They stare blankly, and he's like, "What's happening, Bobby? You're gay." She has to tell him he's gay.
Yeah, from 2015 there. This was a book that Brian Bendis did. Met by the inquiry from Mendez, quote, is that because you feel like the reader today isn't really immersing themselves in the storyline, or they're just overly concerned with the imagery, unquote. Shooter declared, quote, those guys, they're just doing stuff that isn't good, unquote. Quote, it just isn't good, unquote, he opined. Quote, and that has nothing to do with readers or too many indies or whatever. It has to do with, they don't know their craft and they're kind of wrong-headed because they... Oh, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, and that's because a lot of these writers, I'm not sure what the artists, but the writers are just being hired because they want all this crap in it, and they don't know how to write comics. They want.
Well, I know one of Yellow Flash's big critiques of mainstream comics and some of the stuff they've been doing is that you will have some lines, right? Some superhero comic or what are supposed to be superhero comics, right? Well, they'll have 4 or 5 issues where the two main where the 1 or 2 or 3 main characters are all just sitting around like a coffee shop somewhere just talking the whole time. Or it takes 12 issues to do a gala. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Obviously depends on what they're talking about or whatever. Sometimes you need those talking scenes. I get it.
Taking the 12 issues to do a gala, that actually happened. That was.
Okay, I'm not sure what a gala. 12 issues to do a gala, like a dance or what?
It was a big party. It was like an X-Men book from about a year or 2 ago.
Oh, okay.
It's like they basically it happened on Krakoa or something like that, and basically it was just there was one book that was just dedicated to this one party, and they basically did the story for a whole year, and I just had them just at a party at a gala, So
what? In some ways, it seems bad, but it's almost like doing the TV series 24 to comic book, right? The series 24 had 24 episodes, and each episode dealt with a certain hour in the clock. You know, so because it was 24 hours, right? They had
Yeah, but I
24
think
hours.
what Flash's main complaint about it was that this is supposed to be a adventure superhero book, and they're not really doing a whole lot of saving the day or a lot of there's not a lot
Yeah,
of action there. There's just
yeah.
more like people just standing around talking, not doing anything, just talking and
Oh,
all that.
well, I get that, and of course, in 24, there's a lot of action. It's still doing that. It would be doing that the same concept, but making much more action in it, which
Well,
I'm
also the setting in 24 is a little different than because in the X-Men book I'm talking about, it was at a party scene. Okay,
yeah,
the
yeah. And I'm
24,
just
as I understand it, because I never watched it myself, but it was basically covering a 24-hour period as I think I don't in the lives of a government agent or something like that, which of course is going to be more active. You know.
yeah. Well, they're usually trying to stop some sort of terrorist threat or whatever. One thing happens, and then they need to stop a worse thing from happening or whatever in it. And I'm just using it as a comparison. I can see trying to do something similar in a comic. Obviously, you would have to do it right. Apparently, they're doing it wrong. 12 issues. Is that a whole? Obviously, that's the gala. I don't think is lasting 12 hours, so that maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. In that respect, again, if you're gonna do something like that, like you said, you need to do it more than just talking. There has to be something
Well,
significant in
I
it.
think again it depends upon the situation too. I mean, like
Yeah,
that type of scenario that we're talking about, where they're talking, that's it's not a bad scenario. It's just it's kind of inappropriate for a superhero comic. It's better suited for a slice of life comic or a romance comic. You know,
yeah.
not a
Well, it
superhero
depends.
comic. That's the point. I think
Yeah.
Flash was taking a lot of times when he would be.
Well, I could see these characters attending a gala for some reason. Now, do you need to make it last 12 issues? Probably not. But unless you're going to have really micromanage every little thing that they did there, and not make it exciting. And the X-Men is a lot of characters, so you could switch between characters and have a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, they didn't execute it good, from what I know. Just hearing about it, obviously I've not read it.
Mhm.
You know, could it be done properly? Possibly. I'm not saying it would for sure. Maybe it's just something that you don't want to do, a 12-issue gala thing. I get that. It's just, I was just making the comparison because there is something similar out there like it.
Mhm.
Obviously, not quite the same. Superhero books are supposed to be action packed, right? As you were saying,
Mhm.
this TV series was action packed, and they covered 24 hours.
Yeah. Um, all right. So, anyways, getting back to the article here.
Yeah,
Enough with the sidebar for the moment, anyways.
yeah. Went off on a bit of a tangent there, I guess.
Well, that's okay though. I mean, I kind of started by mentioning Flash's critique of a particular comic, but
Yeah,
let's see.
might as well just start at the second
Yeah.
paragraph.
Um, quote quote it just isn't good. He opined. Quote, and that has nothing. Oh wait, yeah, we
Yeah,
about
we read part of this, but I wasn't sure where we ended up.
and
That's why.
that has nothing to do with readers or too many indies or whatever. It has to do with they don't know their craft and they're kind of wrong-headed because they forgot they're in the entertainment business and they're not focusing on that first. Yeah, well, I mean that's been the big criticism of mainstream comics, right? That's been more about pushing the message than entertaining, the reader.
Yeah, can we go back up for a second? I want to see that green goblin. Look. Oh, it's Spidey as Green Goblin.
That's a spider goblin, I guess.
That head, I think, is in completely the wrong place for that.
Peter is consumed by his inner goblin in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 6, number 51, 2024. Words by Zeb Wells, art by Ed McGuinness, Mark Farmer, Todd Knock, Cliff Rathboom, Wade Von Grawl Badger, Marcio Meniz, Eric Arciniega, Brian Valenza, and Joe Caramagna.
Yeah. Just go back up to show the head of the goblin. That head is so off on there.
It's what?
The head. It's way too big. And it's just, to me, it's put in the wrong place. I know it's Spider-Man with a goblin head. It's just, that is whacked. I think some of the other parts of the body are off too. Like the back.
Now, or
yeah. Sorry, I'm critiquing the art.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, quote, I don't care if you have something to say on some social justice issue, fine, unquote. He concluded, let the character say it, right? Don't you say it. If it's you preaching at the reader, or if it's the company preaching at the reader, that's propaganda, and you don't want to read it. If a character states a point of view, that's fine. That's the character's point of view. Drawing his thoughts on this particular topic to a close, Shooter ultimately reiterated, quote, I think that if they get somebody in there who knows what they're doing and sort of steers the ship, that'll be good. And there's, of course, the female Thor there with...
yeah, I guess Tanya. I think it's Tanya.
All right, so there we go with that one. Yeah, Titania. Okay, or Titania the... Alrighty
yeah.
then. So,
Tanya is saying, yeah, I'm not going to fight you because you're a female Thor. We as sisters shouldn't fight. So she just gives up. That's just pathetic writing, for
yeah.
I don't think it falls under Tanya's character. I actually read that way back when.
Yeah. All right, so with that, let's see now. So we're at 33 minutes, so we actually made some good time here. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the wrestling wrap up, as we do, as I said, have some things to kind of talk about a bit here. WWE, of course, continues to prepare for its Japanese tour. Rikishi had recently come out and was somewhat critical of the WWE for certain things it was doing, including hinting at a potential kayfabe romance between him, not him, but his son Jey Uso and Rhea Ripley. Albeit, as most people who criticized him, who kind of began backlash for it, noting that this is kayfabe that wasn't real, as both Jey Uso and Rhea Ripley are both married. Rhea, in fact, herself just got married to her longtime boyfriend, now husband, Buddy Matthews, who wrestles for AEW. So that's one of the big stories. Um, WWE, of course, as I said, was on its way to do a Japanese tour this weekend. Already wrestling in Japan for them over the last month or so has included recent signee Julia, Io Sky, and AJ Styles. All were over there. So now going back to last night to look over last night what went down on last night's Power on the heels, of course, of the Crockett Cup coming to a close, as now of course now they're showing the tapings from April, I think it was 18th or so. Let me just as a Power um, as a Power episode number 166, which was taped from the um, Tampa, Florida WEDU studios. Um, the opening match saw in a non-title match NWA World Tag Team Champions Blunt Force Trauma defeat the Heavenly Butterflies in just over 2.5 minutes. In a match for the National Heavyweight title, Tom Latimer went to a time limit draw with the Southern Six's Kerry Morton. Kerry Morton, of course, coming off of the Crockett Cup victory with his tag partner Alex Taylor. Kenzie Page successfully defending the NWA World Women's title over against Missa Kate. And the main event saw EC3 successfully defend the NWA World Heavyweight title over Wrecking Ball Legursky. So now I don't know. This is last of their as I think they're going to be getting ready to do some more TV tapings that they'll be showing on there soon enough. Time will only tell with that. And on, of course, tonight's Dynamite for AEW as they continue to make their way towards as tonight's Blood and Guts event from the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. The show is opening up with a FTW Rules FTW title match in which Chris Jericho will be defending the title against Minoru Suzuki. In a battle of two former rivals, two former AEW Women's World Champions, who were rivals at a time, Dr. Britt Baker will be taking on Hikaru Shida. Pac takes on Boulder of the Iron Savages in a one-on-one match. Mariah May will be taking on Caitlin Alexis. And the main event will see the Blood and Guts match itself as a 5-on-5 war type match in which you have Team Elite of the EVPs, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Matthew Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, along with AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada, former AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page, and current TNT Champion Jack Perry, all teaming up to take on Team AEW of AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland. Let's see, Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe, Darby Allin, and Anthony Bowens and Max Caster of the Acclaimed.
And hello, Neo Gaming, Neo Phantom Gaming, or Gamer. Neo Phantom Gamer in the audience.
All right. Hey, Neo Gamer. Thanks for popping in. As always, if you haven't already, you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So with that, that's all I got for you on the of course news on the wrestling wrap up. So now, with today being Wednesday, July 24th. Um, Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. Let's take a look back this day in Nietzsche history. History! So first off, we're gonna head back 70 years. 70 years ago today was the premiere, the the theatrical premiere of Bewitched Bunny. It was a Warner Brothers Looney Tunes short directed by um, Chuck Jones and written by Michael Maltese. It starred, of course, Bugs Bunny and introduced the character of Witch Hazel to the world. Of course,
I
she
wonder.
later appeared.
I was just
Huh?
gonna say, I wonder if that had anything to do with the show Bewitched, with them doing that.
No, not quite because not quite. This was like what I think this might have been like 10 years or so before Bewitched even went on the
Oh,
air.
okay. Just
Because
with the Bewitched.
Bewitched came out in the '60s. They just called it
Oh,
Bewitched Bunny because so on this date 70 years ago today, Warner Brothers short Bewitched Bunny premiered in movie theaters. Of course, you can see it every now and then, particularly around Halloween. There's a lot of the Witch Hazel cartoons get shown around that time. Um, and with that, why don't we go ahead and move on to the next piece of Nietzsche history? We move ahead to 1999, which was 25 years ago today. As
that's a nice jump.
yeah, on this day in 1999, um, Combat Zone Wrestling, which was a wrestling organization similar to ECW, it's kind of a hardcore, but it just took hardcore even further than ECW did. They were a regional promotion based out of New Jersey, but they were a hardcore type um, promotion. They held the Big Mike Goad benefit show from Mantua, New Jersey, on this date 25 years ago. The main event saw Nick Gage and Zandig defeat John Dahmer and Lobo. They don't indicate. I guess either to retain or win the title. I don't know if they actually won the title or if the title was vacant or what have you. Let's see. Justice Payne retained the Iron Man title in a match against White Lotus. Rick Blade retained the junior heavyweight title over Nick Burke, and the night opened up with two with a battle of two former tag partners as the two members of the Backseat Boys, Trent Acid and Johnny Cashmere, took each other on as Trent Acid was the one who got the better of the duo on this night. So, and 1999 is just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. As also on this date in 1999, as soon as I can find it, in Japan, the following anime movies premiered premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 1999 as part of the Let's Go Anparman franchise. The movies When the Flower of Courage Opens, as well as the short Anparman and their fun friends, from both produced by TMS Entertainment, premiered on this date back in '99, as well as Tenchi Forever, the movie from AIC. So TMS Entertainment's Let's Go Anparman, When the Flower of Courage Opens, and Anparman and their fun friends premiered in Japanese theaters, as well as Tenchi Forever, the movie from AIC. Those three movies premiered on this date 25 years ago. And finally, on this day in 2013, 11 years ago today, on this day 11 years ago today, On this date, 11 years ago today, the 5th issue of Constantine went on sale on this date from DC Comics on this date back in 2013. So 10 years ago today, the 5th issue of DC's Constantine series went on sale on this date back in 2013. It was the volume 1, of course, volume 1. Sold for $2.99 with 32 pages. The story was Stealing Thunder. If I had to take a wild guess, I have a feeling this was probably a story where Johnny Thunder may have probably Johnny and or Joaquin Thunder probably guest starred in the story. But with that, I thank with that we're done with the This Day in Each History segment. So before we head out, before we close things out here, Rick, would you like to do an outro?
I'll just point people to my video from earlier if they want to check it out and watch. Hopefully, I'll have a new video in the next couple of days on my other channel. Go check that out after you check my other channel here on YouTube, Cross Comics. So hopefully, I'll have a snack video as well in the next couple of days, as I think I was saying.
All right.
So that's it.
All right. Well, with that being said, I thank everybody for being here. We'll be back here tomorrow with more news. Of course, on Friday, I will have the Metal from the Vomitorium on with me as my co-host. As we'll be continuing our look back at comics that went on sale in March of 1940. This Friday, we'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Centaur. We'll be, of course, we'll be looking at such features as Amazing Man, Phantom of the Fair, the Science Detective Denton. So with that, thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.